Currently, we all worry whether images or texts we consume are human or machine created. But ironically, for so many years, machines are also trying to make the same distinction of whether the queries of websites are conducted by humans. And one way to achieve this are CAPTCHAs. These satellite images are hard to interpret. It's not intuitive in any sense. It's not like traffic images, what every human has seen multiple times. It's not even like Google Maps. There's always atmospheric interferences and things just look different. The resolution might be low. And the question is really, can the general public annotate these images and lead to good qualities?
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking Up with Up42, a talk show featuring inspiring geospatial changemakers. My name is Dubrina, and joining us today is Ron Hagensieker. Welcome, Ron. It's great to have you on the show today. You have a wealth of really exciting projects under your belt. So you work as a consultant for Deutsche Bahn. You have recently won the Copernicus Masters Regional Challenge. You're also the founder of a company called Osirio. Can you tell me more about your journey so far?
Yes, sure. Hi, Dobrina. Thank you for the warm welcome. My journey, I'm a geographer and geoinformatics guy who focused in his master's and PhD on remote sensing and machine learning. In the past, I worked for the Freie Universität, IBM, ML6, a couple of consulting companies. And I also participated in the NASA Frontier Development Lab, which was a very nice experience. I did in many of my jobs and also now with Osirio a lot of land use and land cover mapping, always with the focus of optimizing machine learning to achieve high accuracies. So for example, I did my PhD on deforestation mapping in the Amazon, and I also did urban mapping and flood mapping and you name it. Basically also with all types of sensors. For a while, I was really specialized in SAR, but this changed. I also work with very high resolution optical images. But the main motivation for Osirio, in fact, is another one, which is to go beyond this land cover mapping. I always say beyond discretization, because you have everyone who has worked with it knows it. There is so much information in a remote sensing image which just gets lost, like how to draw the exact line between a flood area. So the motivation is not to have all these dilemmas. Some example projects which address this. One a bit known one, which I did with my friend Thomas Lange. We basically did pioneering work with Gen AI in Earth observation. It resulted in this website called thecitydoesnotexist.com. And we also created a tool to draw your own satellite images. This was at the time very new territory. We adapted this to perform onboard compression. This we call package. I'm very proud of this name. So packing on the edge. This is also what led to this Copernicus Award. And then there were other smaller projects, like in the very beginning, I hit ships with adversarial patches from recognition. And also I had a small project where I fed geospatial data into a medical diagnostics platform.
Definitely not small at all. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. Really cool projects, a really exciting journey. I also remember from our conversation last time, you mentioned a relatively new concept using CAPTCHA to create user-generated geographic information from Earth observation data. Relatively new concept. Can you tell us a little bit more about its application, potentially around security, but even beyond that?
Yeah, sure. Currently, we all worry whether images or texts we consume are human or machine created. But ironically, for so many years, machines are also trying to make the same distinction of whether the queries of websites are conducted by humans. And one way to achieve this are CAPTCHAs. I mean, you all did this, these small clicks you do to say where's the car or not. And a couple of while ago, we started trying to get a funding, which was not so easy because it is the main industry leaders are in the US. There are all these, in the ESA is primarily focused on European companies, etc. But then we managed together with a friend and colleague, Guy Schumann from RSS Hydro, and a friend of mine, the same Thomas again, who works for Intuition Machines, one of the main providers of CAPTCHAs, to get the support of NASA. And there we have a small project running. And the real question there is whether the amateur interpreters or the crowdsourced interpreters can, not compete, but at least can also assist with Earth observation. Because obviously, everyone here knows it, these satellite images are hard to interpret. It's not intuitive in any sense. It's not like traffic images, what every human has seen multiple times. It's not even like Google Maps. There's always atmospheric interferences and things just look different. The resolution might be low. And the question is really, can the general public annotate these images and lead to good qualities? We look into this, especially in the context of wildfire mapping. But it's also a big exercise in overall communication, because you need to word the question of what do you see? How do you word this? Do you recognize a fire, or do you recognize something irregular? Or everything needs to be optimized, basically. But you specifically asked for security. This currently nothing we have been investigating too deeply. But if I take it a bit larger and I say that something like disaster mapping could be very interesting, because one of the challenges here is especially also that it allows, it's not a challenge, it's a potential, that it allows to distribute large amounts of images to large amounts of people very quickly, and get the annotations. And for this reason, when there's rapid response needed, especially when you don't have a predefined question where you already have an AI optimized for it, you can rapidly get millions of people involved to annotate. So this is something for the future to also be investigated.
Very relevant topics indeed with wildfire and also beyond security, as we mentioned. And I have to just ask, I find it personally incredible that such a simple concept, like we discussed, CAPTCHA can enable so much. We are at a point in our industry where easier access to Earth observation data can really unlock, in my opinion, previously unthinkable applications. And this is where Up42 comes in. We try to make it easier than ever to access and analyze geospatial data. In your opinion, how do you think platforms and marketplaces like Up42 can really reach potential new use cases and new users?
So I'm a bit shy to answer this because you're operating the platform and I'm just an outsider. But from my outside perspective, I don't even know if such features exist for Up42, for example. But I think something like also wish lists could be nice, right? If some of the projects I mentioned, I develop in the blind just out of fun. I think a lot of developers do this. They just have something technical they can achieve without really wanting to do a big market investigation. And so for this reason, I think if the platform offers for the end users a possibility to pre-formulate what they might need or want, and you don't just develop into the blind, but you have already some indication. Up42, I think you help with this by having channels like this, especially. But maybe some structured way to have this within the platform or something could be interesting, I think.
A lot of food for thought for us, definitely. Thank you so much. And also from our previous conversation, I remember you mentioned full motion video, satellite mode. Do you think that there is a market for it? Also, what do you think are the potential applications?
The question for the market is really a big one. But the underlying question for this is basically, what's the additional value above just having a normal image or an image pair or something? Because gathering this video data is a very big effort. That's what we learned for the providers. In this particular case, we worked with Planet. And obviously, if you get 50 frames per second, the data amount explodes. And data in space is expensive, more or less. And so therefore, the real question is, what can you derive from a video that you can't answer from an image? So in this particular case, in this project we worked on, it was pretty straightforward because there already existed this project. It's called Fluvisat. It's an ESA activity. And the guys running this. So it was the UK Center for Ecology and Hydrology. They looked for for people that are able to stabilize these videos, like from an algorithmic perspective. And that's where me and my partner, Alexander Dolokov, came in. And we really did this well. And the videos were, let's say, they looked like real videos. There was no wobbling, etc. And yeah, so now that we have good videos, a lot of things come natively. We can derive a lot of interesting things. And this particular project had the particular focus to investigate the flow speeds of rivers, which has been done currently by UAVs. But especially if you also here have a disaster event, etc., and it might be in a remote region or it might affect large areas, maybe UAVs might not be the best option. And so for this reason, the big question is, how can satellites help here? And in the end, they worked pretty well. I mean, we had very high resolutions. The videos were perfectly processed, and we could determine with the same algorithms in the end that are used on UAVs, the flow speeds. So there's one use case, but we even did this then in these remote regions, like for the Zambezi River near Victoria Falls. But then Alexander and me, we got especially interested, and that's also why now what I just said, having a channel like this might be of use. We natively extended this, and now we are able to track speeds in traffic on roads and of cars. So. And we wonder, what is the market? Is this interesting to anyone? I'm aware of these advanced traffic monitoring systems and that they are very expensive, but I'm not so much aware if there's now the big need to do this from space. So something like this, or activities on construction sites, etc. These are all topics that can be addressed with this video data. But yeah, as I'm coming from the very technical perspective, I'm very interested myself to invite everyone for follow-up activities, which definitely will come. Things can be investigated.
Thank you so much for your time today, Ron. It was a super insightful conversation. I really enjoyed it. This brings us towards the end of another episode of Looking Up with Up42. If you want to learn more about what Up42 does, visit our website, up42.com. You will find a lot of information about our platform, marketplace, insightful case studies, technical information, and more. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.